If you watch these particular numbers over time, you'll see one trend, and that is that the number of results only goes up and never goes down.
Hi, good afternoon from Bali, Jing. Welcome
Hey,
back. So yeah, it's me again, Nadia. And where are you, Jing?
very good question. So today I'm actually at the Faculty of Mathematics and Computer Science at the University of Gajah Mada. So just earlier, I was speaking in front of a class of students who are interested in pursuing careers in startup in the digital industry. So it was a very fascinating opportunity to speak to the young students in Indonesia. Right now, I'm in the faculty lounge here with Furkan, who is actually part of our Vice President of Employee Experience team. He's over there, but the camera's blurry right now, so it's mostly me. Okay. All right, Nadia, good to see you again. And are we ready to talk a little bit more about market insights?
Yeah, sure. So remember a few moments back we have discussed about market turbulence, and I remember you were saying lots are happening and the market is not really good at the moment. So we've got some questions actually, especially from our property owners. Can
Sure.
you show data best to actually prove of what happening with the
Excellent.
market turbulence?
Excellent. So I can show you a lot of data sources that anybody who can just go on the internet, go to a few websites, can observe for themselves. Okay. So what we do at Bukit Vista is we use proxy indicators to try to figure out general trends. Now, this is a public channel right now with the Bali Business Review, so I will not be sharing any private information from Bukit Vista. That is our proprietary information that belongs to our company and it belongs to the users of our company. But what I can do is I can share some general methods in which any particular independent observer can check for themselves. Okay, so I'll introduce you to a few interesting websites that any particular person can go and get a better handle of what's happening in the entire market. So I'll share my screen. Okay.
Perfect. Yep.
All right, perfect. So let's go ahead and look into it. Where can we begin? So the first website that we could take a look at is Google Trends is a highly available website that any particular person who is looking for understanding of keyword trends can search on. So you can open up this right here. And in Google Trends, you can type in words that you want to look for, right? You can look for words such as Bali, and there you go. You can see how Bali now looks on the search volume in Indonesia today in all categories. So Google collects essentially information across all these different major verticals, and then it's able to display the trends. Of course, we don't want to look for how popular is Bali in Indonesia. We want to know how popular Bali is in the world. And we also want to know how popular is Bali from 2004 until now. Okay. So as you can see, the particular trend line shows this, right? So sometime around the January 2020, this was slightly just before COVID, Bali reached peak popularity in terms of searches on the internet. That was 100. If you can see over here, the relative popularity score was 100. Right now, these days, it's about 80. So the popularity of Bali in terms of its appeal on the internet has essentially fallen a bit from peak, which is at January 2020. This was peak interest in Bali and peak demand. After COVID, of course, where nobody was interested very much in Bali except the people in Bali, we see that it went down, but it's climbed back up again. So this demand essentially reached a peak sometime around this year, around May. Everybody was very happy with the occupancy, and you can see it was 85 in comparison to 100 before. Okay, and nowadays it is dropped and it's 76. Okay, so here's a very simple research that anybody could use in order to see how things are going. But what you can also do is you can also compare Bali to Thailand. Okay, you can compare Bali to Thailand, and this is the trend. Thailand in 2004 was actually much, much higher in terms of popularity than Bali. I know because I traveled to both regions when I was first coming to Indonesia. And then sometime around the 2017s, Bali crossed over in popularity, and then Bali surpassed Thailand in popularity by almost 25 points here just before COVID. Both destinations fell, and then Thailand rose, but sometime around this September, Thailand overtook Bali in terms of its overall popularity. Now, Thailand is leading relative to Bali by almost, what is that? That's about 20 points or so. Yeah, a little less than 20 points. Okay. So that's one of the things, Nadia, that we can use on the internet to observe, let's say, whether or not demand is picking up or not. Okay. Is that pretty clear, Nadia?
Yeah, that's very clear.
Okay, fantastic. Let's go to another thing. So oftentimes people will use, let's say, sources of government statistics and whatnot that they get, but I find that those statistics really depend on the rigor and the process of statistics gathering in the country. And actually having some experience in faculties here, I know sometimes that there can be loopholes, right? Sometimes it's not totally reliable. So this is what I prefer to use to estimate also total demand. It's this: departure flight schedules, okay? Flight schedules of Denpasar Airport are fairly accurate, okay? Why are they fairly accurate? Because if they're not accurate, people would complain immediately about it because there's a flight that's supposed to come in that never existed, or a flight that was supposed to leave that never existed. You can somewhat rely on the accuracy of flight arrival information, the flight departure information. So what do we take a look at? We can look at the total number of inbound cities and flights, and we know essentially from this also, we can calculate what the capacity of each load of passengers are. And so if you look at this over time, what you'll find is certain trends. You'll find that it seems like there's fewer flight rates actually coming internationally to Bali. So right now you can see, all right, where are the inbound flights coming from? Kuala Lumpur, Singapore, Ho Chi Minh, Singapore, Hong Kong, Kuala Lumpur, Perth, all these. I'm sure anybody can actually do the work themselves, but you'll find that there's a lot of flight routes that have been reduced over time. Once again, how do you actually make observations about demand? You just regularly go and look at these sites, and you can see whether flights have been added or subtracted, and that gives you some market insight. That gives you market insight on total number of passengers that are expected to arrive to Bali during any season, during any time of year. So this type of information you can also add together with the capacity of each airplane, how many of those planes are coming per day, and it gives you a total inbound perception of what is the capacity of total demand coming to Bali as a whole. And these numbers seem to actually have been dropping. There are fewer direct flights from major Chinese cities. There are also fewer direct flights from Japan and other major markets that used to be here as well, or the frequency of these flights have been scaled down. Okay, hopefully by just looking at these two really simple, really easy to use tools, consumers and investors can actually have a very clear picture of how to estimate demand at any given point. If you want to take it up a step even further, what you can do is simply record the results via screenshot, or if you're very savvy, you can have AI engineers collect all this information in, compile it over time, and you can see what the actual amount of demand fluctuating is as a market of Bali. So that gives you like some top level idea about how demand works. Okay, Nadia, is this
Okay, so we can see that the demand is slowly decreasing over time to time. What about the supply? Is the supply also the same decreasing, or what do you think? What is happening?
Supply is not decreasing, the supply is only increasing. And once again, concurrent with our previous analysis on market turbulence, the supply is increasing at a faster rate. Now, let's go ahead and try to go on once again public resources where we can actually take a look and understand how quickly the supply is increasing. Okay.
Yes.
So any type of supply that intends to increase will probably make itself onto a few marketplaces. One of the marketplaces that supply will emerge is, of course, the real estate market. So you can probably guess that most people looking to buy Bali real estate will probably look for the keywords Bali real estate. This is the most popular search term if you want to buy Bali real estate. You can probably also search for, I don't know, you can probably search for Bali property for sale. I happen to know these keywords quite intimately because my previous experience for almost 4 years, I worked as a property agent in the south part of Bali for the company Exotic, which used to be the largest property management, property sales company in the area. So we worked on mainly selling villas and also land. So where do we go and find the largest markets for real estate? We simply go here. We go to the largest organic ranked sites. Why do we just go to the first large sites? Because these sites probably have already been ranked by Google. These sites have already been identified as having essentially the most complete database, the most engaged users. So you don't need to go very far down this particular list in order to get a good picture of what essentially is available for sale in the Bali property market. You don't need to research thousands and thousands of sites. Google has already helped you quite effectively by prioritizing the correct sites up to the highest ranking search positions for the keywords Bali real estate, Bali property. So all we need to do is then open up these particular sites. We then just need to look at how many properties are for sale, and we just need to keep track of that. Currently on this particular site, this is realestate.com.au, there is 2,420 results, okay? So that's a figure, but what does that mean? Does that mean there's truly only 2,420 results? Not quite. As we zoom out and we take a look at some of these particular properties, we find that some are actually multiple unit properties. So there's not just one actual unit per listing, there's multiple listings per unit. So the actual number of properties that could be for sale could be numbering in much, much higher than just what we see. Also, it pays to pay attention to how quickly these numbers change over time. If you watch these particular numbers over time, you'll see one trend, and that is that the number of results only goes up and never goes down. And do you know what that means, Nadia?
It's meaning there's a lot of supply currently in the market.
Correct. So a balanced marketplace should actually see listings go up, but also listings come down after they've been sold. After all, who keeps on selling property if it's not available? However, if you see that the results keep on climbing over time, that indicates that the appetite for buying properties is not as strong as the urge to sell properties. So simply put, you can examine all the major real estate sites and you can examine how many results that they have available, which is generally easy to find on some corner of the page over on the side over here, right? You can take a look and sort by price, you can sort by order, and you can start seeing how many properties are actually available in the particular marketplace and count. So these are the numbers over in Bali Realty. I'm sure that they have probably a number here. Okay, we got about 3 pages of this particular result over on this side. Now, not every property in the market is essentially in the, I would say, in the order to actually be sold. Some are simply just hunting for a lucky buyer. But simply put, if you pay attention to these websites and you just are able to read the results, count the number of pages, see what the total numbers are, you will find that all property pages only seem to be increasing in the number of listings without decreasing in the number of listings. And so that is obviously not so good. The other major thing that often is not so good too is this. Most property real estate sites would organize themselves according to a simple digital marketing strategy. You would organize your landing page, the first page on your the immediate page in which you land onto their site, to be the most optimal with products that are the easiest to sell. The reason behind that is that increases the overall revenue and the overall conversion rates of any particular real estate site. Now, if you open a real estate site and just go through the mindset of, you know, would I actually buy this particular object for the price that's listed? Is this good value? And you find a lot of good value, that's a good indication that, let's say, there's a healthy market. But if you go on to essentially the first page and all these overpriced and off-plan objects, then that probably means that there are no good objects. And that's why the real estate agent has not actually placed anything on that first landing page, because there's nothing good. This is another intuitive signal to any savvy property investor that the amount of supply is also growing. And this is essentially what's also adding to the market turbulence. Now, I encourage, let's say, any particular savvy investor to just take a simple process in the workflow that I've just described to just simply monitor and check what's going on so that they can make their own conclusions on what's happening. And if you do find that you have a different conclusion than the one that I've come up with, please, once again, Market Insights is about open conversation, it's about transparency. So let me know in the comments below, and I'd be happy to be educated by somebody who knows more about the marketplace than I do. But with the experience and the background and the years I've been here in Bali, in Indonesia, I haven't found too many people yet that actually have been able to offer counter evidence or any particular direction or narrative that supports a different understanding of this. Okay, so here we use data, here we use transparency, here is how we use essentially the fundamentals of just basic micro and macroeconomics to explain things in the marketplace. We hope that this particular culture of using data-driven decision making can overcome cultures of anecdotal narratives that people find from rumors spread by drivers or whatever they hear in the local bars and nightclubs, whatever establishments, in a smoking circle or whatever, right? This is based on facts. This is based on data. This is based on analysis. And we hope that this Bali Business Review episode can help educate investors who are looking to make a smart decision on how to do research on their own time and on their own efforts. If you're too lazy to do the research, I'm sure you can probably plug this all in by screenshot into ChatGPT, have it count up all the listings for you, and you can just simply monitor what's happening too as well. That's another very effective option that can empower the savvy investor with doing their own research and finding out how to find a good bargain in the marketplace. Okay. All right. So anyways, that's just general advice that I have to say could be helpful for anybody looking to escape market turbulence. So those are some data sources that are publicly available. Any other questions that you would like to ask at this moment, Nadia?
So yeah, thank you so much, Jing, for the explanation. I'm pretty sure everyone who are asking or were curious about the evidence to back up your previous statement about market turbulence, I hope it's clear for everyone. And if you have any more questions, feel free to leave it in the comment, and we'll make sure to make more follow-up market insight video in the future. So thank you so much for watching.
It was a pleasure to be here on Market Insights again by the Bali Business Review. Look forward to seeing engagement on the comments below and engaging with our very esteemed Bali investor community. See you guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.